One of the many reasons One Piece fans are so hard on Monkey D. Dragon, the father of the main character Luffy, is because of how early he was introduced in the important East Blue saga, the first saga in One Piece. So for us to be in the final saga without seeing him fight is crazy, with Red Hair Shanks showing off named attacks like Divine Departure, and even before that clashing with Whitebeard and stopping a Kanoderm Marine Ford. And Mihawk, another East Blue saga character, though no named attacks have been used by him, he has a black blade and he's used it more than once, from humbling Zoro early on to testing the distance between Whitebeard and everybody else. Now some might mention Ben Beckman, but he did fight the bandits early on and threaten Kizaru as well. Heck, we even had him take Eustace Kid's arm off, for goodness sake. So I get the fans' frustrations when it comes to Monkey D. Dragon, but there is still a lot left to One Piece, and the longer we wait, the more hype Dragon being more hands-on involved in the story will be. Now some might say the longer we wait, the more disappointment happens when we see Dragon finally show his full capabilities, but I think you should have hope, especially with how the final saga has gone so far. The Death Flags are running amok in the Elbaf, so let's do a deep dive in the most wanted man, Monkey D. Dragon, and how things are going to change in the future. Now of course, definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 100k subscribers. All we need is 4,000 more subscribers and we finally reached that milestone, and turn on notification because we got some big videos planned. You guys see the high-end quality, it's not going to stop. Now I don't know what it is, but Monkey D. Dragon makes me always think about Goldie Roger. Maybe it's that quote that happened when Dragon was first introduced: there are things that cannot be stopped, inherited will, the destiny of an age, and the dreams of its people. As long as people continue to pursue the meaning of freedom, these things will never cease to be. Having Monkey D. Dragon introduced with a Goldie Roger quote shows me that Dragon is more important to the overall One Piece story than any other character I've seen in the main storyline that's not named Monkey D. Luffy. It makes sense, he's father to Luffy, so he should have that importance. And I must say, he was there at Roger's execution, so he did get some inspiration by the Pirate King, even though he's revolutionary, and he actually didn't mind Luffy going on his pirate journey. Yes, that's right, when Dragon saw that Luffy was a pirate, his son became a pirate of the seas, he said that's fine too, pretty much saying as long as you're going against the world government, I can accept it. The opposite of his own father, Monkey D. Garp, and his reaction to Luffy, of course, which we recently seen during Aokiji versus Garp fight. We seen Garp's reaction to Dragon becoming a revolutionary and then Luffy becoming a pirate. Definitely not happy that they're going against the world government. But you know what's funny though, Garp deep down doesn't really mess with the world government. He doesn't really mess with Celestial Dragon. So you see, it really runs in the blood of the Monkey D family. It's just that they all chose different professions: Marine, Revolutionary, and Pirate. Early on, these foundations were being pretty much built in the One Piece story, and this is around the end of the East Blue. So you got to give Oda kudos for what he's done early on and how it's all playing out. Plus, you got to look at Dragon stopping Smoker, the man who's following Garp's footsteps in following the future Pirate King. Though Kobe has the aura of Monkey D. Garp because he's been taught under Garp and he has some cool hockey feats, let's keep it real. Smoker's the one that actually is moving like Garp. How Garp chased Roger, that's how Smoker's moving. Though some people might say, oh yes, it's the true parallel, but Smoker doesn't have the aura like Garp does because of what Punk Hazard did to Smoker. Let's keep it real. What Punk Hazard did to Smoker definitely made us think, yeah, he's not the next Garp because of his showing against Virgo. Though he was trying to get Law's heart back, but then you look at how he lost to Law. Law is pretty powerful. Like, Law is a top tier new gen pirate. In my opinion, Luffy, Kid, Law, these guys just came from off of Wano defeating a Yonko. Though Law and Kid actually needed help, but they're awakened Delva users that are pretty powerful. They're a part of that crazy next generation. Zoro's a part of it. Of course, Blackbeard shouldn't be a part of it. He should be part of Shanks and Mihawk and Doflamingo's era, but now he's part of the worst generation. All I'm trying to say is this: Law defeating Smoker, I think some people, that's not that big of a deal. I think the bigger deal was the situation of Virgo and Smoker and how Smoker looked pretty bad in that fight. Even though there's context of him trying to get Law's heart, still the showing he had really makes you think, is Smoker really up to the task of being that top tier future Marine that's going to be going head to head with Luffy, unless he comes back stronger than ever? And we know Smoker's on the move. We've seen him recently, he's on the move and during Egghead Island, so expect some cool Smoker moments, maybe in an Elbaf, maybe at the end of the arc of the series. Smoker is probably gonna have some crazy buffs, guys, so maybe the Garp parallels are still intact. Speaking of Monkey D. Garp, he was the one who revealed Monkey D. Dragon was Luffy's father to us, the fans, and also Luffy, because Luffy was like, wait, I have a dad? That was one of the funniest moments during Post Sandy's lobby. And I must admit, Garp looked more salty through Dragon's life path than Luffy's. I think Dragon being a part of the Marines and then leaving was more of a slap to the face, and Luffy never being a part of the Marines and just becoming a pirate on his own because of Shanks' influence. If anything, looks like Garp still has way more love for Luffy than Dragon. Looks like Garp's looking at Dragon like, why'd you do what you did? You know, they say there's a thin line between love and hate. Look at it even right now, how Garp is captured. And think about Dragon. We still didn't see no reaction to Dragon seeing his father captured. If anything, we only saw a reaction to his revolutionaries when it was found out that Dragon and Garp are related. When they said that finally their boss Dragon looks more human because we know he has a father, we know he has a son. Like, they thought he was a monster before that. That's how cold Dragon is to his people. It's this mysterious aura that Dragon has. Even though he's a good-hearted person who doesn't like war, he has that cold demeanor. I also thought it was pretty cool seeing Monkey D. Dragon's official introduction where he's telling his guys, don't be happy, this is a war. Seeing early on that Dragon is not pretty much happy over little battle wands and whatnot. He's looking at the long game, and now that we're in the final saga, this is the extreme long game. Yes, I know chapter 1121 kind of stamped that Dragon will be a very important figure when it comes to the claiming the One Piece and what goes down, but still, we've been waiting for so long. It just makes us go crazy when it comes to Monkey D. Dragon, what he's gonna show. Dragon also foreshadowed him meeting his son, while also, of course, they kind of highlighted Dragon being the worst criminal. So a lot of people theorize he has the biggest bounty in the One Piece story, maybe 5 billion Blurry plus, like Roger, like Whitebeard, these legendary figures from the past. And honestly, a lot of people look at Luffy gonna surpass his father Dragon and become the new worst criminal as Nika in the final saga. Right now, Luffy, he's pretty up there with a 3 billion Berry bounty, but I think he can go way higher. Look at Blackbeard's. Let's just look at Mihawk, Blackbeard's, and Shanks' bounty. Even look at the guys that got taken down in Wano when it comes to Big Mom and Kaido. They had an extreme amount of bounties. So Whitebeard too as well. After Marineford, he was in the 5 billion territory. And Roger was 5.5 billion. I think Luffy has to surpass that. If Dragon has more than Roger, that just gives more impact to Luffy surpassing Dragon's bounty. I also thought it was pretty cool during the ASL flashback scene, that Dragon moment where Sabo is pretty much telling him he's shamed to be a noble, something that you thought you would never hear in this day and age. Dragon pretty much says, look what you guys did, you drove a kid to say this. It was a really impactful moment. Of course, later on he would save Sabo from the celestial dragon that was trying to kill him, and Sabo would become his #1 soldier, surpassing him in fame recently after Wano. And of course, Sabo has to avenge Ace to take down Akainu, who hates Dragon. So there's a lot of important future battles. Akainu's on that panel in chapter 1121. Sabo's also on that panel. I'm just telling you guys, there's a lot of things Oda can go. There's a lot of directions Oda can go. And I trust that Oda's gonna make the right move. Just look at Impel Down. Impel Down, Ivankov is one of the most important characters in that arc. And Ivankov is one of Dragon's most trusted soldiers. So when, of course, Ivankov learns that Luffy is the son of Dragon, Ivankov goes nuts, thinking, what is happening? I also thought it was pretty interesting how Ivankov made that wrong assumption that Luffy's brother Ace was also Dragon's son, pretty much saying, why would the world government want to go against Whitebeard and Dragon? Showing that Dragon is not a scrub, he is going to be a monster. Like, Ivankov knows how strong Dragon is from the get-go, so I thought that was cool. I also thought it was pretty interesting seeing two moments. First moment is Garp seeing Luffy use Conqueror's Haki and saying, oh, he got it too as well, he's born with it as well, showing that probably Monkey D. Dragon is a confirmed Conqueror's Haki user. And knowing what we learned in Wano when it comes to Conqueror's Haki coding, yeah, Dragon is supposed to be a monster on the level of guys like Shanks. So I can't wait to see him in action just to this Marineford moment of Garp mentioning Luffy's Conqueror's Haki. Then there's Akainu. Akainu also hated Monkey D. Dragon. He kept saying Dragon's son, Dragon's son. Like, Luffy's his own man. Luffy did a lot of great things up until Marineford, but Akainu just kept saying Dragon's son. Not even Straw Hat, he just kept saying Dragon's son. We found out, of course, recently what Dragon, his origin, so makes sense why Akainu saying that. I think Akainu and Dragon need to have a moment. I know Sabo and Luffy need their smoke with Akainu because of Ace, but I think Dragon and Akainu actually have more history than meets the eye. We could also look at the time skip where Dragon took on a Straw Hat pirate in the name of Nico Robin to come alongside, of course, the revolutionaries, and she learned a lot and got extremely stronger. Just look at that Black Maria fight, our first 1v1 Robin fight in a while, and she was incredibly powerful. I respected her power in that moment. And Robin, of course, is connected to Clover. It was connected to Dragon, so it makes sense that this all happened. Of course, Dragon is trying to change the world, and Nico Robin is one of the most important characters when it comes to world changing, because she knows a lot about why the world the way it is right now. Like, she knows how the world became how it is too as well. So Robin is that archaeologist that is really carrying O'Hara as well, that Dragon really wanted to continue. So I like this stuff. Then there's also Blackbeard and Monkey D. Dragon. I always thought this is something Oda really isn't going too deep on yet, but he's gonna do it in the final saga. He kind of did teasers, like when Blackbeard, of course, attacked the revolutionaries, and of course CP0 got involved as well. This is that pretty much exposed that Baltigo, the revolutionary's headquarters. And then of course we also see Blackbeard keeping tabs on the revolutionary and Celestial Dragon beef. Blackbeard, in my opinion, wants to become king of the world. So he looks at Monkey D. Dragon, a fellow Willa D member, going strictly against the world government, just like Roxy Sebek did. But the only thing is, Dragon is doing it in a different way than Roxy Sebek did. I think honestly, Dragon, Blackbeard, Roxy Sebek, and of course ultimately Luffy are all going to be connected, not just from that initial D, but there's more to them that we know. And the final saga will uncover this, and it's going to be a real good treat for us fans. We could also look at Luffy becoming a Yonko. Now that Luffy's a Yonko and one of the top tiers in the story, we have no choice but to see Monkey D. Dragon make a move, because Oda has no excuse now. Luffy's on that level, so there's no more need to hide insane powers. Just look at Shanks and him going on the move during Egghead Island with Divine Departure and 10 seconds into the future, and his Haki being compared to Joy Boy. I think Oda now knows, now that Luffy's so strong and he took down Kaido, Dragon has to be revealed, because there's nothing left to hide, guys. We have to see everything. That's why we're getting so much lore dumps in Elbaf, guys. And just look at Egghead Island, where we saw Vegapunk and Clover and that connection to Dragon. Of course, Clover was a Willa D member that was trying to find out the true history of the world, the Void Century. Vegapunk is 500 years ahead, of course, of civilization, and revealed that the Void Century was advanced technology. And Dragon has a connection to both of them. That is deep, because I mean, Dragon knows more than we actually he knows. Like, he actually knows a lot of stuff. And you have to understand, Vegapunk was studying the Void Century. Dragon had a conversation with Vegapunk in the beginning of Egghead Island, where he said that I might die. He told Dragon that for a reason. They're working in cahoots. There's the whole Gunko Elbaf theory as well. I'm telling you this right now, Dragon is going to drop some bombs that we have never seen, and the impact he does is not going to be, of course, against the Marines, or of course even the Holy Knights, even though he mentioned them. I think the impact is going to be against Imu, yes, the king of the world. There's a reason why Sabo ran to Dragon and told them it's about to go down. And yes, we have to talk about it. Dragon and Vegapunk meeting on O'Hara and seeing the remnants of what happened there, of course, when Nico Robin's island got destroyed. And we see the Giants there, of course, trying to save some of the history that we're now seeing in Elbaf. And of course, Vegapunk said to Dragon, you don't like war, so why are you starting this revolutionary? Of course, Dragon now knows that's O'Hara. He has to do it now. Even though he doesn't like it, he has to do something to change the world. And he's choosing violence, something that he doesn't like. I thought it was very interesting, showing that Dragon's true personality. He's like, unlike Luffy. Luffy loves to battle. He loves the combat. Like, he got pissed off for Shanks not fighting early on. See that contrast where Dragon actually hates it? I thought it was very interesting. I think that Luffy and Dragon are more opposites. Yes, they're similar, but they also have a lot of opposite traits that are really going to mesh well when they finally do eventually meet. And we got to talk about it. Elbaf is the arc of the Holy Knights. We met Shamrock. We met Gunko. We met Summers. We met Killingham. And we know that the Holy Knight commander, former commander, of course, Triggerline Garling, is now a Gorosei. The Holy Knight's aura has gone through the roof in Elbaf. And I must admit, ever since Egghead Island, the Holy Knights have been going crazy. And who's the first person that kind of hyped them up? It was Monkey D. Dragon, when he said, we move when the Holy Knights move. So Oda's always been planning Monkey D. Dragon being connected to the Holy Knights. And if Elbaf's the arc, you have to bring Monkey D. Dragon to Elbaf. It has to happen, because there's so many Holy Knight shenanigans going on here, as well as Gunko being maybe a secret revolutionary army plant in the Holy Knights. So I can't wait to see when things get even spicier in Elbaf. Then there's also Garp versus Aokiji. I think Garp versus Aokiji is very important. Not just the fight of them going at it, but the fact that Aokiji took down Garp, and Aokiji's now a Blackbeard pirate, and this is kind of his first official move. Yes, he did movements like taking pudding, and of course joining the Blackbeard pirates that had people raising eyebrows. But this taking down Garp, like, that was insane. Garp taught Aokiji what he knows. I think Garp even taught Dragon what he knows. I think the reason why Garp didn't really want to teach Aokiji is because of what Dragon did to him. He's like, the last guy I taught left me, so why would I teach another guy? That's my theory. So I could see Garp have a situation where he has to see Dragon again because of this fight with Aokiji. Dragon might come in there and going head to head with Aokiji a little bit too. And we could also see a situation where, I'm telling you guys right now, we could see Dragon try to get Aokiji to join him, but I'll explain that a little bit later. Now, I think something that's been a theory in the One Piece community for over a decade that's finally been confirmed recently in Egghead Island was Monkey D. Dragon being a former Marine. Kuma asked, and he said, yes, I know some things, I'm a former Marine. That probably helps him being the most wanted man, because he used to be a Marine and now he's going strictly against the world government. Also want to say this, the fact that he's a former Marine, we know he probably has a relationship with Akainu, Kizaru. Aokiji might be a little bit of a stretch, But I think the guys like, of course, them, Akainu, Kizaru, Sengoku, I think the fact that Sengoku revealed in a Marineford that Luffy was the son of Dragon, I can't wait to see what Oda has in store for the flashback of Monkey D. Dragon as him first joining the Marines and leaving. I think it's gonna be super cool to see. He could have even been there a couple of times where Garp took down, not took down, but took on Roger. I think Dragon could have witnessed those fights, kind of like Hakuzuki Oden witnessed Whitebeard versus Roger, and he probably saw a Conquer Saki Cody clash, and they weren't touching. It's gonna be a cool moment to see. I think a big moment that really changed how I look at Monkey D. Dragon. I always knew he cared for Luffy because his first official introduction, he's staring off in the east talking about Luffy. He went to Locktown too as well to help out Luffy against Smoker. But the big thing is when he actually threatened to fight Kuma if Kuma continued talking about Luffy being his son. He said, "A family is my weak spot." The fact that Dragon was about to kill one of his top commanders in Kuma, and arguably his strongest commander at the time, shows you how determined Dragon is into protecting Luffy. And that love he has for Luffy, I can't wait to see it all come to fruition. Even though Luffy's a Yonko and top tier, Luffy still needing Dragon's help in the end would be so cool to see. I think Dragon is still stronger than Luffy now because of this moment too as well. And I think he's going to come and save the day as a father. His first and last moment of officially being Luffy's father. And Dragon will do it all to change the world. It's going to be a legendary moment. Let's keep it real. Us as fans, even myself, were kind of disappointed not seeing Dragon on Egghead Island. We thought the whole Kuma arc, Kuma flashback, would definitely be leading towards Dragon pulling up at the end, of course, facing on the Gorosei and the Egghead Island. But it never happened. I think Oda teasing us so much and it not happening, and now Dragon talking about making some big moves. I think the time to do is Elbaf. Elbaf has to be the arc for Dragon. If it's not Elbaf, I think I might start rioting, guys. As a fan, I'm gonna be like, yo, you teased the Egghead Island. You have to do it for a reason. You better do it. Elbaf should be the arc. We already have some hype moments when it comes to Loki and the Holy Knights and Scopper Gaban. I think the cherry, the icing on the cake is going to be Monkey D. Dragon showing up and causing havoc. And I thought it was cool how Dragon not only realizes that Vegapunk's message will bring self-interest in people, and people, of course, are not going to listen to his warnings. Dragon also wants to hurry and achieve victory before people start killing each other. So to save the world, Dragon has no choice but to make a move. And the only thing I can think of right now is Elbaf. If he doesn't make a move in Elbaf, I think what else is there to do? We already know Shanks vs. Blackbeard has to happen. So when that's happening, Dragon, I think, needs to make a move on Elbaf, and Holy Knights have to be involved. I think there's a hidden Holy Knight that's actually might be stronger than Shamrock. That could be a great opponent for Luffy or Monkey D. Dragon. And I think Monkey D. Dragon will have to even reach Imu. I think Monkey D. Dragon will have to be one of Imu's first official fights. I think, of course, Akainu is going to be a cool fight to see as well. But I think Imu is where Dragon, like, you don't save a character like Dragon this long for him not to go against the king of the world, Imu. And it's going to be kind of like how Roxy Zebek wanted to become king of the world and go against Imu. And I think this is all going to, of course, foreshadow the final fight, which is Luffy versus Imu. Listen here, Monkey D. Dragon gets a lot of course, hate because of his deadbeat dad shenanigans and the jokes about how he never does anything. But one thing I learned during Egghead Island is he really cares for Luffy and he wants him protected. So who isn't to say he won't be affected by Garp captured, and of course Garp's life in jeopardy by the Blackbeard pirates. I can see Monkey D. Dragon involved with Garp's rescue. Nah, I don't think Dragon will of course succeed. I think I could see a situation where he fails. I also think he's gonna fail when he fights Imu as well, but I think he'll succeed through Luffy, as his son will inherit as well. And Luffy, when he takes down, of course, Imu, will definitely remember Dragon. Luffy always does this thing where he takes down his opponents and remembers, like he did, of course, Pedro. He remembered him and other fallen members before he took down Kaido. Luffy does this, so I think he can remember his father when he takes down Imu. It's gonna be really cool to see. Yes, that's right. The Monkey D family will be getting some big losses in Garp and Dragon in the final saga. That could even reveal the original Monkey D, who I believe could be actually the original Nika from the first world. But that's another video for another day. But if you guys want to know how Shanks' story will end, click this video right here. And if you guys also want to know how the Roxy Zebek story is gonna go, click this video over here as well. And if you guys have a problem with this video, just debate in the comment section.